Bonk Titans, huh? They're the reason we've seen Guardians solo raid bosses. They also might be the reason why the Primeval's health bar just seems to deplete in a matter of seconds during Gambit. Well, I've got some news for you. Bonk Titans just got a whole lot better with Solar 3.0. G'day Guardians, it's Matt here, and today I'm sharing with you an updated look into the classic Bonk Titan build with the changes that came with Solar 3.0. This build is going to allow you to melt all the yellow bars, the nightmares, the mini bosses, and well, even the tier 3 boss inside of the new nightmare containment activity. There's plenty that's the same here, but with just enough changes to refresh what was a classic DPS build into what is now one of the most busted PvE builds for Titans. It still all revolves around our hammer, tractor cannon, and having a shoddy with 1-2 punch on it, but with all the bells and whistles that come from being able to run sunspots with roaring flames too. Truly an unprecedented and exciting time for Solar Titans. But before we dive into how busted this build is, Roguey and I, who create content on this channel, are giving away 2 emblem codes, one for the Follow the Light emblem courtesy of the awesome Destiny 2 ANZ team, and the other one is the Archive of Twilight emblem. All you have to do is subscribe with notifications on, give the video a thumbs up, and comment what your favorite experience has been inside of Season of the Haunted so far. Mine, myself, was just simply flying back into the Leviathan again and seeing everything. I feel like Bungie has really outdone themselves this time. The second winner will be drawn from someone who joins our Discord server and shares an intro about themselves inside of the introduction channel. Winners will be drawn in a week's time inside of the comments section and in the announcement channel on Discord. See the video description for the exact time. Good luck, Guardians. Alright, so let's have a look at the exotic armor and the subclass breakdown for this updated Bonky boy. Synthoceps are still the staple here. They don't need any introduction, but if this is your first time being exposed to Bonk Titans, all you need to know is that Synthos will buff your hammer throw and your super damage if there's a few enemies around you. But what has significantly changed is the subclass. Gone are the days where you could just set it to middle tree and forget the rest. We now have fragments and aspects, and yes, some of the new terms are a little tricky to wrap your head around, so I'll try and be as simple as possible. For the first aspect, you'll need Roaring Flames, and for all intents and purposes, hasn't really changed. Any 3 ability kills will get your 3 stacks of Roaring Flames, just like before. The other aspect is Sol Invictus, which is our sunspots. Ability kills or the hammers from our super will create a sunspot on impact, and these will regen our abilities faster, give us a heal which is called restoration, and will apply the scorch effect to any enemies that walk through it, which is essentially the same as a burn effect. So yes, super damn exciting that every hammer melee that we get will generate a sunspot, and that will also give us Roaring Flames too. As for the fragments, Ember of Torches will make you and nearby allies radiant, which is a 25% damage buff on weapons for just getting a hammer melee kill. While it's not overly essential for us to have that extra damage, it is kind of nice for our shoddy and our tractor cannon. Ember of Solace increases the duration of the radiant damage buff for weapons, but also the duration of heals that comes through the restoration perk when sitting inside of a sunspot. Ember of Ashes applies more scorch stacks to a target, which we're doing by leaving sunspots all over the place, but also from our grenade as well. And lastly, Ember of Benevolence, which increases our ability cooldowns because we'll be making our allies radiant. For the grenade, I really enjoy using the solar grenade, but it's not really important which one you choose. So with this build, it's always been about dealing big damage, and nothing's really changed here. On the mod side of things, we can't really enhance that anymore besides running something like Overcharge Wellmaker and Well of Irons, but historically has been proven to be a bit of a waste of a time and overall less effective after using that single big damage hit. But what we can do is enhance our overall survivability. Bonk Titans are notorious for getting in there, going huge and making some big plays, so let's have a look at the mods that can help keep us alive. Firstly, on the helmet is Melee Wellmaker, where each of our hammer kills are going to generate an elemental well for us. I'm also running 2 copies of Hands On, which will feed our super with each hammer kill, meaning I don't really need to have high intellect with this build. That elemental well that we'll pick up intrinsically will give us some energy back on our abilities, so it's good to use our grenade on cooldown, but it'll also help proc this next mod, Well of Life. Well of Life increases our health regen for a short time, meaning we're not staying down in the red health bar for too long at any given moment. On my arms, I'm also running 2 copies of Impact Induction, which gives grenade energy each time that you get a hammer kill, which is kind of like all the time, so throw those grenades. On my chest piece, I'm running Elemental Time Dilation, just so that I can increase how long Well of Life's effects last. I'm also taking advantage of the new seasonal mod Armour of the Dying Star, which gives Void and Solar Resist in one. On my mark, I have Elemental Charge, which will give us 2 stacks of Charge with Light when we collect the Elemental Well from our hammer. I am sporting the new Molten Overload mod, where our grenade can stun the few Overload champions that we'll encounter inside of the Nightmare Containment activity, as well as 1-2 Finisher, which will refund our hammer back if we happen to leave it behind, throw it out of bounds, or somehow we just can't find it anywhere, which feels like it's happening more often than not. Lastly, on our legs is Protective Light. This is how we'll spend those stacks of Charge with Light, which will proc if we suddenly take on some big damage. I know it's nowhere near as good as it used to be, but extra survivability is extra survivability. Alright, so for the weapons, nothing's really changed from our traditional BONK Titans, besides the fact that you probably don't need to run around with the usual 2 shotties that have 1-2 punch on them. Since we're focusing on the Nightmare Containment activity, just having one is absolutely fine. For me, that's been the Wastelander shotty with 1-2 punch, which can be farmed from Dares of Eternity. If you don't have a shotgun with 1-2 punch on it, then unfortunately you won't be pulling anywhere near as much damage as someone with this perk on. There are plenty of options in the game now to grab one. The Prophet of Doom shotgun from the Garden of Salvation raid is good, or the craftable Ragnil D, just to name a couple. Since Wastelander is in my kinetic slot and I'm not running anything like Font of Might, I've just been keeping the old faithful funnel web out if I want to change up the gameplay a little bit, but you can essentially run whatever you want here. For the heavy weapon, it's the same as it's always been. You'll want Tractor Cannon. The 30% debuff from Tractor Cannon is what kicks off our gameplay loop by giving us around 10 seconds to deal the increased damage from our 1-2 punch and Roaring Flames hammer combo. The Catalyst only provides deeper ammo clips, so don't stress if you haven't completed that yet. You'll still be able to haul big DPS without it. Alright, so let's get into how the gameplay loop plays out. First things first, you should always be running around with your hammer to accrue 3 stacks of Roaring Flames, and if the timer of that buff starts to dwindle down, you can simply hurl a grenade at an ad in the distance, or you can just refresh the timer with another hammer kill. It's up to you. When you are ready to deal big damage, you'll hit your target with Tractor Cannon to apply the debuff. That's when you shoot your shotgun with 1-2 punch on it, you'll hammer twice, reapply 1-2 punch, hammer twice, and repeat. The best part about using this inside of the Nightmare Containment activity is that even though these enemies are really tanky, they're not GM boss or dungeon boss level where you'll need to be constantly sweating to master this combo. If you mess it up a little bit, it's totally fine, because even if 1 or 2 things aren't procced properly, you'll still deal big damage. Inside of this activity, most of the yellow bars, nightmares, or mini bosses die from just one of these loops. And again, if you didn't quite catch that, it's Tractor Cannon, 1-2 punch, hammer, hammer, 1-2 punch, hammer, hammer. If they're still alive after that, then you'll just reapply Tractor Cannon and just go again. As for the stats on this build, if I catch anybody dropping stats into strength, then I'm throwing my real hammer out the window. Just kidding, but you don't need anything in your strength stat. Keep that as low as possible, since picking up the hammer refreshes its cooldown, and we've also got 1-2 finisher to get it back in an instant too. I know we've got plenty of ways to get heals. We've got Well of Life proccing after we walk over each elemental well. There's Protective Light for that little bit of extra resist. And when we collect the hammer off the ground, that gives us a cure too. But I still recommend going for maximum recovery, because this does still affect the speed in which we regain lost health. And sometimes our little BONK Titans get in some pretty tricky situations. The only other stat I recommend speccing into is Discipline, so that your grenade can inflict Scorch onto larger targets or to a group of ads for a chance of them igniting. With the new changes this season, Resilience is now an important stat point for survivability, but with all the heals going on, I'm happy to keep it low for now. If I find that it's not working out in the future, I'll move my Discipline points over to Resilience. And lastly, try to keep intellect as low as possible, because the hands-on mods will be constantly feeding our super energy from each hammer kill that we get. But that's everything from me, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this updated look at the Synthoceps BONK Titan build. This, of course, can be used in any activity in Destiny. It doesn't have to just be Nightmare Containment. And of course, we've also seen it pretty popular in raids and dungeons in the past couple of years. But at the moment, it's my go-to build for this activity on Leviathan. It's a lot of fun, and I just wanted to share that all with you. Don't forget to enter our giveaway for the 2 emblem codes. Remember, just by subbing to the channel, liking, commenting, and joining the Discord if you want an extra chance at it. And as always, take it easy, Guardians.